And so we're talking about the jazz actors technique, our experiences as jazz actors, and everything. So today will be a more of a informal chat, if you will. But if you really want to understand about what it is and why it was, and again, this is part one of that because there's so many other voices that we're going to hear from who contribute to this conversation. So I want to just start by introducing everybody again. If you have not watched this group, go back and you can see us on our YouTube channel and check everything out. So I'll start with the ladies first. Shantell, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Shantell Dunnaville. I'm one of the jazz actors, and I've known all of these lovely people for a very, very, very long time. At minimum, I don't know how many years it's been. It's definitely been in the, I'd say, in the 20s.
Yeah. That's right. Yes. Sharalyn.
Yes.
Hey, I'm Sharalyn Garrard Bailey, and I am a jazz actor also. And I'm also the artistic director of the Heritage Ensemble Theater Company.
All right.
I'm so glad to be here.
All right.
Educate the people.
Yes. J. Ron.
I'm J. Ron Fleming, Junior.
Yeah. Oh, you. All right. Toney, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm Toney Cobb. I'm an actor who had the good fortune to be taught jazz actors technique, and I've been writing with them since.
Yeah, all right. And finally, D.L. Hopkins, my brother.
Hey. I'm D.L. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be among my friends. This is like homecoming.
Yes, indeed. Yes. So we're going to start our conversation. What question I want to ask all of you is, I'm asked three questions. The first one is about how you got into, how you got your first introduction to jazz acting. Who got you there? Okay. And for most of us, it's one person, right? But what was your experience with that?
You just want Ernie stories.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh.
Anyone?
David, spit it out. Spit it out, man.
Earlier to everybody and tell them the first time I met Ernie was in Inherit the Wind. And after I got in, and he said to meet him over at Pine Camp, and I thought, oh, that's where we're having rehearsals. And we got in, and he said he was going to teach us how to read. And I said, I already know how to read. I don't need to be here. But by about 10 minutes later, I knew I definitely needed to be there. And that was like 1998, I think so.
Yeah, I remember that show.
Yeah.
I've got an Ernie story.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure you do.
Okay. So
17 of them.
No. When I first started acting, I studied at the Firehouse, and my acting teacher, we were learning Sanford Meisner technique, and my acting teacher told me, hey, there's an audition at the what was it? The Virginia Fine Arts Museum. Remember they had that theater there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she said, I think you would be great for it. You should try out for it. So I read with her the night before, prepared a monologue, blah, 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 blah. I get there, and it's not like any audition I've ever been to before, because everyone is seated in the theater. And the person who's auditioning you is facing you upstage center on a bench. And then there are students all around behind them. So when you audition, you are called up on the stage, you're back to your peers, and you do your work. And
Okay.
and I was like, this is odd. Okay.
Hmm.
But I came here to do my thing, and I watched people go up, do a dramatic monologue, and get dismissed.
Summarily.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
and I saw a person begin their monologue, and he spoke the entire time. And most of you know the voice I'm talking about. The man was incapable of a whisper, right? So it just wasn't in his being. But the bottom of his voice was resounding, so we all knew exactly what he was talking about. I'm sorry. So I'm yelling at they're tired of my stories already. We've been in here too long.
Go ahead. So how did your audition go?
So the person he talked all the way through, and they ushered them off, and he was like, yeah, next.
Homie the clown.
Yeah, man. So I came up on the stage. I did my bit, good day. I'm D.L. Hopkins. I am, you do the whole intro thing. And I'll be doing the third monologue from Richard the blah, 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 yada, yada, right? So I get up there and I do my thing. And he just looks at me. And I said, okay, now he's like, come here. And I was like, yes. And he didn't tell anyone else to come close. He's like, closer, closer, come. And I walked from the lip, like everybody was performing their audition at the lip, totally downstage, center. And I walked all the way up to this man who's already all way up stage center until I got to his ear. He's like, closer. So now, I'm in no man's land at this point, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for this level of intimacy. So I and not knowing, but I was still curious what he had to say. And I got really close, like really at his ear. Yeah. And I said, yes, sir. He said, what the fuck are you doing?
I knew that was coming. I knew that. What the fuck are you? I knew that was good.
Oh my gosh.
Excuse me, sir. What the fuck are you doing? That's ridiculous. You need to come to class instead of dealing with this bullshit. And that's how I met Ernie McClintock.
Woo.
And that's one thing.
Why?
That's one thing I when I hear people who don't understand it, that, they say, well, y'all just, every time we went in rehearsal, things were different. Y'all did something different. But the thing is, when you go through your everyday life, things don't go the same way. So if you're on stage and if you're truly in that character and in that moment, no matter what happens, you can react in the way and still be in character. If something drops on the floor, you can do it. And if things are not exactly the way they were before, that's not life.
Right.
Exactly.
People don't understand that when they just listen to us talk about it. They don't understand.
Yeah, they think it's crazy, it's unsophisticated, right? There's no method, right? There's no,
Right.
yeah.
There's
It's
definitely
an art form. It's an art form,
Yeah.
Yes.
And we have to be careful because I know I directed stage reading at one point, And I did a lot of jazz with the people who weren't jazz actors.
No.
I would tell them, I would let them find their way through a scene, and it turned out well, but they felt undirected.
Yeah.
So we
I've
have
been
to
there,
be
Sharalyn.
careful. Yeah,
I've been there.
Careful when
Yeah.
we are.
I overestimated, in a sense,
Yeah.
the creativity of the people I had cast in the show. They were fine actors.
Yeah.
But I was giving them the free reign. I was, talking technique, talking about the elements and everything, and they didn't really pick up that ball and run far with it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and this, the people are talented, right? But they've never experienced that kind of freedom,
Right.
and
that's what it is.
Yeah, and I think I'll say this. I like working with my jazz actors, but when I do a show that doesn't have a lot of people who have, I don't. There's a trust issue, right? They're not gonna be able to trust me like that. I can't give them that space, even though they're talented. I feel like more they might learn some things. They're not gonna get the whole technique, no. So what can I give them, and where we can meet each other in the middle?
Gotcha.
Because in professional theater, there are certain standards that they have, and they're used to those things, right? You have a production meeting every week, and at that meeting, people know their cues, the light cues, the sound cues, the costumes, all these things they plan for, in a very traditional way. And if that process, I don't think you can start a play out with, you being a jazz actor and have these other people. It won't work, And so I'm talking from, learning, because I didn't, at first I'm like, I'm coming in there with my agenda. Y'all better get on board, and it doesn't work that way. It can't, because it's for them, it's foolishness, right? It's fodder. It's unskilled labor is coming to my camp, and that's what they see, But once you get to that situation where you have like a Ron Walker or other artists who understand that kind of work, then it's beautiful,
It seems to me that the real distinction is you have to understand. This is a story I've told many times as well before. I don't think I understood the concept of art until I met those guys. Mm-hmm. And once you recognize, a wonderful analogy is a beautiful painting. When you see something, a work of art, and it has such detail, that's the kind of work we strove to do. Anybody can just, take a script and read it and move around and create a play. And so, if you had a series of images of the process of an artist, like the rough sketch, then when he put in a little more detail, then maybe added a little color, then he may added some background. Well, that's the kind of process that we were going through as actors. We're starting off with this rough draft, and we learn how to build a performance and create, what is the expression you like to always use? Details should be going about those stages and all sorts of explicit images. And so that it's art. That's one way you can surmise it.
Yeah. Well, I want to introduce Gino Brantley to the conversation.
About jazz acting really came into concept when Ernie and Ron moved to Richmond. It wasn't the same in New York.
Oh.
It was a little different.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
It was a different type or a different era of acting. I guess because we had our own theater and we could do anything we wanted to, opposed to having theaters that we had to rent from people, and they had their own little thing on how they wanted to see things to go and stuff like that. because I know on a few occasions when Ronald and Ernie had someone else to do the set or do the lights, they were always saying, well, where's the rundown for this? And where's the lighting plot for this? And where's the set design for this? And they didn't do it the way that is written in the book. You know, they would work it as it progressed, you know, so everything wasn't down on paper. It was mostly in their brains. And as they seen what can transpire between the actors and what they were able to do is when the setting and the lighting really start to happen. I could remember a few times at the Barksdale Theater when they would ask Ronald, well, where's the set plan? Or, you know, what is the lighting design? And well, we don't have that yet. And, you know, this is what I remember about it more than anything else. You know, the acting part, you know, is kind of a little fuzzy in my head because I wasn't an actor. I was more into lighting and sets and stuff like that. I was in Ronald's hip pocket more than Ernie, you know. But
you had that one performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that scared me to death. But
but hearing you say that reminds me of one of the central points of jazz acting is that it is a collaborative effort. As a matter of fact, Ernie didn't shape things because he was waiting to see what you brought to the table.
Right.
Then he would shape it.
Right.
So
Exactly.
that's one essential aspect of it. It is a collaborative effort. That's why everybody has to work hard to become a actor of substance that knows how to move, that knows how to use words, that knows how to create a character. So you bring substance to the first rehearsal so they can see, you know, because these other theaters, man, you go the first day, they talk about blocking. I'm like, blocking?
Yeah.
How you gonna block? I mean, huh?
Yeah.
It's a whole different reference point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's you know, that's where I see a lot of the differences were, because when we were in New York, I mean, you actors were good, but the New York actors had a different kind of feel to it because they went from class right into a show. Not that y'all didn't do that, but we had our own theater that we can keep open to make that happen, you know, rather than going from place to place. So you go here and have some classes and then you come in to rehearse. It was like a different world, you know, a different
disconnect,
different feel. I shouldn't say a different world, a different feel.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
And I'm sure, you know, having that environment where everything is contained, the actors, all the artists are right there in that one building, having class, rehearsing on shows. You know, that makes a big difference. You know, it's like a culture unto itself. You know what I mean? And a lot of theaters can't replicate something like that.
Yeah, no,
you know,
that's true. That's true.
I was telling them we're gonna have to do more than one series on this whole topic, you know, because there's so many things to talk about with this. You know, we can talk about the history, we can talk about the tech piece, you know, we can talk about the technique, you know, it's so many. We can talk about Ernie, just, you know, all these different things. But I think it's important for people to know the legacy of Ernie and what it meant to so many people. You know, one thing we were talking about before we got here was, you know, our connection to Ernie, and a lot of us were looking for something, you know, and we didn't know, we were looking so many places, and we found it when we found Ernie. You know what I mean? And it was such a a breath of fresh air. And not just that, it's a life force unto itself, you know.
Yes,
for us
absolutely.
as artists, you know.
Yeah, I was looking for something.
Yeah, yeah.
I was looking.
No, don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Yeah, we know your story.
Your story's interesting. Tell it, Gino.
No,
Tell
tell him.
But you got a great.
I don't want to know.
You got a great story. That's a great story, though. About
Gino.
I was just thinking about that.
yeah.
Don't want to know, Shantell.
I came in a different capacity, you know. I didn't have no theater technique, no lighting technique. You know? I came in with street knowledge.
Yeah.
but they led me in a way, in the positive way to even see where I am now.
Yeah.
Kind of because of Ronald and Ernie, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't nowhere be in this situation that I'm in now if it wasn't for them, you know.
Yeah.
So
He came in with one of these.
Oh my God.
so it's, you know, it's
Put that thing away.
it's like a different world, you know, something outside that I never thought that I'll be able to accomplish, or, you know. But I also have something else to say is I'll be getting married on Saturday.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And we've been together for 19 years on Saturday.
All right.
And really fast thing that's happening here. So
God, yeah.
I be able to help.
It won't that fast.
19 years.
19 years.
19 years in the making.
Right.
19 years is not fast, but proposing on Thanksgiving Day and getting married.
Oh,
So
Oh wow. Okay.
I think that's pretty fast.
that is
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful, brother.
Yeah. It's so good to have all y'all in the house. In the house.
Right.
We were talking about that van earlier today, right? And I remember you know, and I would drive that thing a lot, but I remember the most famous trip that I ever took with
that New York trip.
No. That's a whole nother thing. But I'm talking about when me and Ernie went to Tupac's house.
Oh,
You remember that?
In Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
In Atlanta.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And now here's Ernie. We're in Tupac's house. And Ernie's like, okay, I want you two to read this piece. And you know, Ernie, when we first get into his house, he's looking on the wall and he sees in these the Grammys and the platinum and he's like, Jerome, you did not tell me that Tupac was this big. and of course, you know, Tupac is just like, hey Ernie, how you doing? You know, just you know, just humble, you know. And we did the scene, and you know how Ernie is. It doesn't matter who he is. And he's like, let's do that again.
Yeah.
Let's do that again. Try it again. I think we did it 4 times. You know?
Yeah.
My God! What's going on?
Hey, Yako, oh my God!
How are you doing?
Oh, man.
Hey,
You look like $1 million, Yako.
Yes, indeed.
Wow.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Great.
Very good. We're just talking about so many things, jazz actors wise, and just, you know, reminiscing, you know, talking about the technique, talking about the, you know, it's everything, you know, Ernie, you know, and how we all got in, right, how we all got involved, you know, with this whole thing, you know. And I remember, you guys remember the mosque, going there every day?
Oh, yes.
That was our spot.
Yeah, that was. I remember going to the mosque, and we would have fake rehearsals just so we could sneak into whoever was performing that show that night.
Exactly, right.
Into the Prince
I saw
concert
Prince
upstairs.
Yeah.
I saw Prince that night.
Yeah.
But Yako, you should tell the group your story about the time that
Tupac?
Ron. No.
Oh.
No, I'm not gonna. No. Yako, we know what happened with you and Tupac. We need to go over it. We're crying out loud. It's been a decade.
Are you sure? Are you sure you don't want me to
know about you and Tupac?
I haven't heard it.
No, I wanted you to tell the story about the time that you were at work and Ernie and Ron Walker showed up.
I was talking about that earlier when you went off, DL. I was talking about Yako telling that story. Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's my favorite.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't even remember that story, y'all.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness. Are you serious?
Yeah, you were at work and Ernie and Ron showed up unexpected and they were like, Ron was being escorted by security.
Wait a minute. Was I at work or was Ernie directing something that we were doing and it was raining? Was that the day it was raining and security brought Ron and he was like, I tried to tell him. You talking about that time? I tried to tell him.
That's the story.
Yeah.
That one? Yes. They would not believe that Ron was there working, and Ernie was directing something for the theater company on campus that I was doing.
Directing for Umoja.
For Umoja Theater Company, yes. And it was raining, and all of us we're working, and all of a sudden they come in and they got Ron. And Ron, lots of times people are talking or people are saying something, or they just bring him in and he's just looking. And they go, is he with you? I tried to tell
told him that I was with
We were just absolutely like, what? Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. He designed the show. This is the guy who designed the show.
Yeah.
Not Ron.
Yes.
But Ron had this energy about him where it was almost like in slow motion.
Yes.
He was a tall man, but he had these huge hands. And one of the things Ron did, I will always remember. We were at a theater forum. And you know how people like to sound intelligent, and they were having some discussion about something. And Ron, the whole time, I thought he was asleep next to Ernie because he was back there leaning like this. And when it came to the Q&A, he asked the most profound question, and I was blown away because I thought he was asleep the whole time. These guys lived and breathed this art. I mean, it was second nature to them. Yeah. And he was even though he as Gino likes to say, he worked background. He built sets, he did lighting. He understood the craft from all aspects. Oh yeah, It was just amazing.
Yeah, Yako, I just want to introduce yourself for the show so everybody knows who you are and what connection you have to all this we're talking about.
Okay. So, hi, everybody.
Oh my God, it's Yako.
Hi, my name is Yako Tora Shotuku. That's the whole long name. Shotuku. All of these guys are used to the long explanations of my name and how it came to be. But for the purposes of this, it is not Japanese. No, it is not.
You will get a geography. You'll get a geography lesson on Namibia.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, here comes 45 minutes on Namibia.
That's Right. Clearly, clearly we have been around each other for some significant amount of time since they already know. But no, it is not an Asian name. It is Namibian, which is south, west.
Did I tell you can get a geography lesson?
Yeah, and so
I'm gonna put a map on the screen while we're getting
okay. So how I came to meet this lifelong group of folk and my lifelong brothers and sisters here
yes.
Is I was in charge of a theater company on the campus of VCU. And I cannot remember, probably Cheryl and who I'm trying to get in here can give the details on how we met up with Ernie, but we needed a director for the theater company and there was a lot of drama on the theater company at VCU, but we somehow got in contact with Ernie, and
it was the only Black theater company at the time. There was a lot of the resistance that y'all had.
Yeah.
They weren't really taking you seriously.
Right.
It was. And to be honest with you, the drama and the people that were in charge of it, without going into the whole thing, really didn't have the depth that I kind of wanted, and that Ernie would just usher in like a flood in terms of the depth of theater, the depth of our people, and the connectedness of it all. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
Hell yeah, it makes sense.
that is
Unpack it.
indeed. And so that is what we were in search of, and that is what Ernie brought in Ernie and Ron brought in like a tidal wave.
Yeah.
And so
And y'all did for Color Girls, right?
we did, yes. We did for Color Girls, and Ernie and that production really it was a packed production, and it was one that turned a lot of people who were not necessarily theater goers into theater goers, if that makes sense. What he was able to do with us, and what he was able to do in terms of, Ernie and Ron were not just, a quirky director and an interesting kind of set designer.
Right.
They were prolific and they were profound. And so everything related to theater, even the marketing of theater, does that make sense? It wasn't just the production itself, it was the marketing of the production had to be unique. And the way in which we talked about it, and the way in which it was put out, it was not just a one-dimensional kind of way of being with these two.
Come on now. Y'all, I gotta tell you, I miss this Yako energy.
Yes,
indeed. Talk about the show began the
Wow.
moment you walked into the theater.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember?
It was,
He used to talk about
yes.
that production of Amiri Baraka that they did Slave Ship.
Oh,
when you
man.
came to you remember that? He used to talk
Yeah.
about that? So
Yes,
that's what he
I
tried
remember
to
that.
create with everything he did.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Yako.
Yes.
I'd like to share something that I had the honor of just setting up props and kind of ADing, assistant directing,
The collard green.
collard greens and
Yes.
cornbread divas.
Yes.
Now, and I want to tell you, like I was already fully on board, and I kind of understood, who Ernie was and what was going on, and I had the technique, and I was teaching at the time, and he asked me to help out on this one production, and to sit with him from idea. And I mean, and then I can go back even further. Inkling.
Concept. Yeah, go ahead.
Right? From inkling. It was just a little spark of an idea.
Yeah.
He one evening at his house, he's like, hey, I'd like you to help me out with this. I'm going to get all the women together and we're going to create a show. And I was like, okay, so what show are you doing? He's like, no, from zero.
Yes.
Zero. There you
To
go.
lights up.
And it was beautiful.
We are going to create something that hasn't been done before. And I was like, okay. And I was on board because I it was Ernie.
Yeah.
But to have the ability to see that level of creativity.
Yeah.
And those of you who've been to Gino's house, that picture of Cheryl, Mary, and Yako, that's from that original
it's in there.
cast.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the essence of what we're talking about. That is it. The whole jazz actors experience from start to finish.
That production changed my entire view of what we're doing. It was something bigger. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it was bigger than what we're together. It was bigger than what it was.
But he did the same thing with Endangered.
Oh man, yeah.
He did the same thing with Endangered.
Right.
It wasn't no play. They made that.
Yeah, exactly.
Created.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That wasn't, you know, that's not in the books.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
And every time the cast changed, the show changed a little.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Creativity.
And,
that's what it's all about. Creativity.
Right. And the beauty of it was that that nothing was fixed, right?
Right.
Ernie was like a theatrical DJ. What he did
Come
was
on now. Write that down.
No, but listen, hear me out. So what a DJs did was they took the best part of everybody's favorite song. It was already your favorite song,
right?
But we're gonna take the best part. So we know you like this groove right here. A lot of people like it, so we're just gonna hit you with good times over and over again. Good times, right?
Come on now.
And then I'm gonna mix it with something else and all this, and it was like a jambalaya that he would serve every night, and everyone who was a part of it was excited because we didn't necessarily know what we were going to get at the end of the night, but we knew where we were going.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And let me add to that, that it was a jambalaya that we performed and were mutually fed at the same time.
Yes.
If that makes any sense.
Yes, exactly.
So we're performing it and we're feeding, we're getting from it based on the jazz itself, based on the music that we were introduced to from Ernie, based on the soundtrack that he created that made us learn all these songs. I mean,
Yako.
Yes,
I ran music for that show.
I remember that. Yeah,
it was all that my life every night.
It was
every
so
night.
much
I was like,
going
man,
on all the time.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear Miriam Makeba.
Yeah. Oh my
this
God.
Nina Simone track, y'all ain't ready. By the time we get to Nina Simone, it's gonna be a problem in this audience right now.
And you know, remember that my favorite visual. I'll always remember this when they all got shoulder to shoulder with that powder and just blew.
Oh yeah.
In all different directions, and it was just. I mean, you almost in tears just watching this whole thing just come together.
Yako, watching you, Mary, Cheryl, it's transcendent.
Yeah.
And I got to watch it every night. Every night. It was transcendent.
But Yako, remember this? When Ernie brought the blacks to VCU and they would not give him a theater.
Our first show.
So what this man do? He put a tent outside of the theater.
What?
You're
not gonna give us a building? No problem. No problem.
Like, I'm gonna show you what.
And wait a minute. Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
I'm gonna show you how you made us.
Some evidence.
How you're treating us.
There
it is.
My gosh. Oh my gosh.
Say something so the camera will come up on close.
Wow.
Talk, Yako.
Talk, Yako.
Because I keep this.
I can't see it. Get it closer.
There it is. Yeah. There it is. She's got to talk.
Yako, you have to say something so the camera.
All right. So I keep this. This is a frame from some leftover materials that we did when we had, and this is a picture of us, one of the rehearsals of Jean Genet's The Blacks, which we interpreted to, can you say this on this show? The news.
Yes.
And we had some
in a
leftover
circus tent. We
in
were
the
the side
circus.
show.
Yes. So there was no way, and a way was made. And so
Amen.
every production that we did with Ernie, it was a model for how to operate in life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on.
I mean, honestly, this is not. I don't feel, and I think you guys will agree. This is not. I'm not putting on, like, this is not just for show. This is honestly that every single production we did was a key, was a tool, was a something that we added on to our understanding of life, our understanding of how to operate in the world by that model, which with every production.
Yes.
Yeah, Ernie was coaching leaders.
Yeah.
He was coaching leaders.
Yeah, he was.
And J. Ron.
Yes.
I'm gonna need that goddamn script.
Well, it's being doctored. It's being doctored.
This is what happens. This is what y'all have to understand. This is my very first show. And to give you an idea of how nervous I was, I went about 5 years before I would even say I was an actor. This is my first show. And the day of the first show, he asked this guy named Morrell Morton, because Ernie had already figured out that this particular actor was not getting his line, but he was playing a character, the governor, who always walked around with a book. So he had already planned for him to have, I didn't know that at the time. So he asked Morrell Morton for the book, and he said, I don't have it, it's being doctored. And I wasn't looking, but a few seconds later, Ernie had a conniption, and he picked up this chair and threw it out the tent. And I stood up. I was the only one that stood up. And I was thinking, oh God, thank God, we're not gonna have a show tonight. And I turned and I looked at everybody else, and they're still sitting there. I'm like, yo, hey man, because he went running out of the tent, upset, in tears. Ernie was. He was so angry. And I was like, and I think it was either DL or Michael Bennett said, oh, he'll be all right. Yeah. And I was like, no, man, no. He's.
And we were like, calm down, J. Ron.
Yeah.
I was looking for a way out, baby. I was looking for a way out. I was scared to death.
J. Ron, that's your
walking in that tent behind Cheryl Sullivan with that damn umbrella in my hand. My heart was beating out of my chest.
So Ernie had a student come by one day and during a rehearsal for the Blacks, we were doing early readings, way early. And the young lady sat down.
I don't remember this.
Oh, you're going to remember.
Me either. I don't remember either.
You're going to remember.
You're going to remember, let me tell you.
The young lady sat down and Ernie said, okay, let's everyone quiet. We're going to start. Take it from the top of this scene. Go. And we did the scene and all. And then Ernie stopped and he said, so what did you think? Can you tell me what did you just see? And she went on to describe the scene. And she was like, this one is obviously a queen and she's a court of some nature. And that gentleman there, the valet, yes, the valet, he's gay, but I'm not sure what, and she went on to describe it. J. Ron was still standing there behind Cheryl with the umbrella up, and it just dawned on him that his character was gay.
I remember that.
I don't want to read this. I don't want to.
I remember that.
I was so hurt. And I'm like, J. Ron, bro, your sexuality as a character is the last thing you got to worry about.
Well, this story has gotten embellished a little bit over the years, but I will say for certain, I was reading it and I remember I had the script in my hand and I looked up and I was like, oh, that's the character I'm reading.
I remember my first rehearsal with you guys. But the thing is, it was my first time doing in a jazz actors environment. I'm coming from JMU, right? And my first rehearsal with Ernie. So, I got some theater, but, I know what I'm doing, And I'm looking around and I'm completely lost. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, I like this, but should I do it anymore? It was just so, and it took a minute for me to get on board, you know.
Yes.
Not too much, but I got it once we that first rehearsal. I saw, okay, this is people just okay. Let me go ahead, you know. and once you got it though, you understood, you know. And it's like it can be jarring for somebody who's new and doesn't understand how this kind of process works, you know.
But
And Jerome, you were used to making things happen for yourself. You were used to being the boss here, and I'm going to take these kids at George With. I'm going to the George With kids, and I'm going to do this production, and I'm going to do that. You were used to just making things happen, you know, in your own style, in your own way, and then you come into a place that's like, oh my God. And where do I fit in? And what are the rules? Because there are kind of no rules, but then there's a rule if you cross it, and then not really.
Exactly right.
There's all this stuff that's unknown that you don't know until you actually cross the line or do something that's interesting or do something that Ernie doesn't like until you realize, oh, okay.
Right. But I knew where I was when we put that tent up, and he gave me a watermelon to present to the queen. I said, yes, we putting this right in everybody's face. We got this tent. We showing somebody, we're making somebody upset. And said, I like this.
That show was revolutionary.
It was.
We did it, and we piled everything into that raggedy van, and we drove to. Remember, we drove to some school. I forgot what school it was.
A whole bunch of schools.
We did, yeah. We were on a tour.
I remember. So part of the Ernie's thing was like theater begins before the audience arrives.
Exactly. Right? Yes.
So part of our thing was, I think it was me and Michael Bennett and somebody else. We prepared the audience for their evening's entertainment.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
We don't trust you people. And I remember this woman, you know, I was in character. Everybody else was with it because it's like kind of funny, you know. And but this older black woman, she was like, after what I've been through, I refuse to be, you know, subjected to this behavior. And I had like an existential crisis because I was like, wow, you are my elder. And I do honor the work that you did for me, but really, it's not that big, honey. It's part of the show.
Right.
So you did realize it's a theater. When you arrive, you pay money for theater. This is part of that experience.
Yes.
Just, you know, dial it back a little bit, you know.
Chill out.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what I'm sorry I came in a little late. I'm not sure what the focus of this particular episode is. I'm not sure if we're trying to be squeezing in everything, but I also have to talk about the fact that the interconnectedness of Ernie and being connected to Gino, being connected to the Harlem crew, being connected to so many other people that it was just, you know, we're tied, you know, we're brothers and sisters for life, no matter what part of the journey you came along in on, you know, we're all connected through Ernie and the different stages of his life. We all just kind of jumped on and whoever was on that journey, we now are connected as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well said. Well
Part
said.
of a big family.
And you know, and that was really, really true when you guys went to the Black Theater festival, you know, and people just knew, oh, you with Ernie? Oh yeah, okay, welcome to, you know, fam, you know. And we went to Atlanta as well, you know. It was the same kind of thing, you know. And there were people that we all saw on TV, and they're like talking to Ernie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this
one of those encounters was DL and I were walking through the lobby of a hotel in downtown Georgia, and
you gonna tell this story?
Yeah, you can tell it.
No, I said, are you going to tell this story?
Yeah, tell it.
Tell the tale.
He was the captain of Deep Space Nine at the time. Remember that Star Trek show?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yes.
So the brother, he was the Avery Brooks.
Avery
Yes,
Brooks.
that's
him.
it. Yeah.
Talented brother.
Yeah.
Yes, very.
We
He was
meet
the
this guy.
he was the host of the entire festival that year,
Yeah.
the Black Arts Festival.
Yeah.
And he was quite proud of it, and he let everybody know. Go ahead, J. Ron. You can tell the rest of
No,
it.
well, DL, I could tell he was like hyped, but I thought he was just hyped because we were in this space, in this experience. And after the guy walked away, I had no idea who he was.
So let me fill in the blank there.
Yeah, fill in the blank.
J. Ron, J. Ron, he acts around the periphery of a bunch of crazy stuff. And he's like the focus of it and has no idea. So we're in the lobby, which is part of a bar of some hotel now defunct in Atlanta.
Right.
Downtown Peachtree.
Mm.
Now, you got to remember, I've been in a van for hours, right? And we show up, we unload the van and get the set together, and for some reason, we got to come to this hotel. I'm not clean, it's the last part of the day. I'm at the bar just waiting, and a fella's beside me, and I look back, and he bumped into me, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Avery Brooks, Deep Space Nine. That's my man. All those, 70s flicks. Let me go holler, dude.
Oh yeah, he goes.
I said, hi, how are you? And he was like, oh. So from J. Ron's perspective, all he sees is two black guys, and it looks like I'm like checking Avery Brooks. That is not what's happening. Avery Brooks had like 14 too many drinks that night. So he's like, I was like, Mr. Brooks, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm D.L. Hopkins. I'm with Ernie McClintock's Jazz Actors Theater. I know who you are. And
yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what you saying, bro. He's like, what am I to be impressed?
Ooh.
And I was like, bro, I Mr. Brooks, I think I've given you the wrong impression. I didn't. He's like, and yeah, I know Ernie, and I know who you are. I'm the host of the Grand Marshal or whatever the fuck the title was.
Yeah.
And the drum major of the whole kit and caboodle. And I said, I understand. I just wanted to, say hi, sir. I'm sorry to disturb you. He's like, well, you've said hi. I'm with my friends. I was like, obviously. And that's when I think J. Ron walked up.
Okay.
And it ended kind of nasty. And I walked away. And then I was
just remember him being full of himself. That's what I remember.
What's that?
I remember him being full of himself, but I didn't know who the brother was.
Yeah, he was an asshole. It's like, but
You better be glad you didn't go Little Hawk on him.
but I remember walking back to the van, and I was like, wow, I think I just got cussed out by Avery Brooks.
I remember that, yeah.
But the next day he was sober. He pulled me aside. He's like, listen, everything that happened yesterday, I wanted to say I wasn't myself. So if it pleases, I would like to apologize to you humbly. I was full of myself. I was with some friends I hadn't seen in years, and we had a few drinks. And he kept calling me DL. DL, you understand that? And I was like, wow, this man is really trying to sell me right now. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll accept that, Deep Space.
I remember that was a tough trip. Y'all remember
What
that?
show were y'all doing? What show were y'all doing down there?
No, we never did this one show. We were
we did
rolling.
several.
It's a repertoire of shows that we would do.
So we would during the day we do this series of young people's kids African.
Yeah, Sense of Pride.
Sense of Pride. Yeah, and at night.
Yeah, Langston is my man.
Langston is my man.
Langston is my man. Wow. Yeah, that's
or to Langston with Love. Which one?
Oh yeah, yeah. To Langston with Love. That's it.
Yeah. One of those.
Yeah, that's my show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We did there was Jerome's correct and J. Ron as well. We never did one show.
She had a low center of gravity.
I remember that one children's show that J. Ron We were in Atlanta, and I think we were playing to an audience of 2.
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
a surprise. Yeah, it was whichever one we were moving them damn boxes around.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It was an audience of 2 people in the audience.
One.
Okay, one person.
One.
But we go all out. We go hard, right? And J. Ron went up on lines, and he got white as a sheet.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly like that. It's like his internet hung up, and he was rebooting. It was a long reboot because he had one of them old 386s before Macintosh.
He was buffering.
Yeah, so he was rebooting, and he was in the middle of a moving a box over, and he froze, and we were
DL
still going
said-
on with the show.
He turned upstage to me. He said, "Just put the box down." And I put that bitch down, and I sat on it, and I stayed there.
And I said, "Sit down." And you sat down, and we told all this motherfucking story.
right. We had to do all his show, yep. Oh man. Well, guys, I'm gonna have to stop it here. But this, like Yako, yes, this is a part of a series. I know. It's because I told them when we started, it's gonna be more than one episode about this topic.
Okay.
Because it's so many things, so many people. And we're so happy to have you and Gino here today. Everybody else has been here for 8 weeks of the show. So just thank you so much, Yako. It's so good to see you. Oh my God.
Can I just say one thing? Yako, I've heard so much about you. These guys talk about you and Cheryl and Mary all the time with so much love. And today I found out where it's all coming from. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you
Yes.
very much. I appreciate that, and I appreciate everyone, and thank you for having me. And
This has been Theater Talk, and I am Jerome Scott Smith, and thank you for joining us today. Have a great evening.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Theater Talk. If you have an idea for a topic that you would like for us to discuss on our show, please send it to theatertalkrva@gmail.com. Also, we would love to hear from you. Tell us what you think about the show. You can either send us an email at theatertalkrva@gmail.com or send us a comment during an episode on YouTube.